children, welcome to the online classes. Children, we were discussing lesson number 14, Interdependence in Nature. In the previous session, we have discussed about plant-plant relationship. We have discussed about animal-animal relationships. We have also discussed about how plants, animals and the environment stay in unison with each other. So, what is interdependence? As we have already discussed, interdependence means to depend on each other. Interdependence is the relationship between two or more living things where each one benefits from the other. Today we are going to discuss about food relationships. Where do we get the energy to do different work? The answer to this is food. We get energy from the food that we eat. As you know, that the vehicles have fuels filled in it which gives the vehicle energy to move. In the same way, the food that we eat acts as a fuel for our body. The food is burnt inside the body to produce the energy which is used for various functions, which is used for performing various functions. Food is the source of energy. Now the picture that you can see on the screen shows a food chain. Food chain shows the transfer of energy from one organism to another. Or food chain shows who eats what in nature. In the picture, as you can see, plants make the food with the help of photosynthesis by the process called photosynthesis, and it gets the energy from the sunlight. And here the grasshopper, he eats the grass, and the grasshopper is eaten by the frog. Frog is eaten by the snake, and the snake is eaten by the eagle. So this is how one organism is eaten by the another organism, and this is how the flow of energy takes place. Children, let us learn more about food chain. So what is food chain? A series of organisms that eat one another, resulting in the flow of energy from one organism to the other, is called as food chain. Now children, in the food chain, plants are already the first in the food chain because plants are the producers. We know that they produce their own food by the process called photosynthesis with the help of sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. Plants are called as producers. The plants make their food with the help of air, water, sunlight and minerals from the soil. This process is known as photosynthesis. Now children, other than plants, the first organism that eats the plants, they are the primary consumers because we consume the food. We or whatever the animals are shown in the food chain, they cannot produce their own food. They depend on plants or animals for their food. So they are consumers. So here grasshopper is the primary consumer which is eaten by the secondary consumer, which is a frog, and frog is eaten by the snake. Snake is the tertiary consumer, and snake is eaten by the eagle, which is a quaternary consumer. So here in the food chain, the plants are the producers. The organism, the insect, whatever eats the plant, they become the primary consumers. Primary consumers are eaten by secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are eaten by tertiary consumers, and many a times tertiary consumers are decomposed by the decomposers. Children, we have discussed about decomposers. They are microorganisms, fungi, bacteria which decompose the dead organisms, dead plants or animals. When they die, they are decomposed, they are made into simpler compounds so that they can get mixed with the soil. And this is done by the decomposers. So, primary consumers, the consumers that eat producers are called as primary consumers. Secondary consumers, the consumers that eat primary consumers. Tertiary consumers are the one that eat the secondary consumers, and quaternary consumers are the one that eat tertiary consumers. So children, here again is a picture of a food chain wherein grass is eaten by the rabbit, rabbit is eaten by the fox, and fox is eaten by the lion, and which shows they are producers, primary consumers, secondary consumer and tertiary consumer. Here is again one more food chain, children, wherein the algae or a sea plant or an aquatic plant is the producer. The small fish is the primary consumer, bigger fish is the secondary consumer, the sea lion is the tertiary consumer, and the shark is the quaternary consumer. Now, can you name the producers and consumers in the right order in the given food chain? I hope you will be able to do it after seeing so many food chains, after seeing the examples. Okay. So, let us see the answers. So, the carrot, as you know, that plant is the producer. Rabbit is the primary consumer. Rabbit will be eaten by the fox. So, it will be secondary consumer. And fox will be eaten by the lion. So, it is the tertiary consumer. Children, in this picture you can see there are two food chains. The first one shows the grain eaten by the hen, and hen is eaten by eagle. And in the second food chain, the grass is eaten by worms. Now, worm can be eaten by hen also, can be eaten by frog also. And both hen and frog can be eaten by the eagle. So, here we can see two food chains interlinked. So, what is it called? The interconnecting food chains are called as food web. This is all for the lesson, children. I hope you enjoyed the session. Sai Ram.